My light's dying. The second half of this cylinder head replacement or head gasket replacement, we found some interesting things. So the head gasket was blown, and you can see on the bottom here in the picture, the right side, you can see on the bottom where it's completely blown out. On the left side, you can see on the bottom where it's completely blown out. So we had the two cylinders, and you can kind of see where the two sets of valves, one's cleaner than the other, or the center one is dirtier and the two outer ones are cleaner. So the center one, or the dirtier one, didn't have a blown head gasket. After I took it off, that was where we found the mechanic in a can fix.
Don't ever do that.
If mechanic in a can worked, we wouldn't be here. It took a lot to clean out. Definitely had to scrape it out. Almost chisel. I had a flat head and I had to smack it with the back of my hand and scrape it out. That stuff was rock hard. There is some in the block I'm going to show you too that we have to clean out and had to scrape at. But this is the cylinder head, and like I said, I wanted to make sure it was flat before we did anything. And with the way that the head gasket looked, I had a feeling that the cylinder head wasn't going to be too bad. So I have the light on the back here, and we're going to look from this angle to see if we see a bunch of light. And so with this down here, I can barely see or not see any light as we come across, which is really good. And since the compacted graphite head gasket is thicker, I'm going to do a final cleaning with the roll-off disc that I have. And then we'll probably get the block prepped. Yeah, because this looks great. So that head is still flat. I'm going to get the roll-off disc, which if you're going to use any of these, do not put a lot of pressure, and always get the softest one you can purchase. Sometimes it's color-based, other times it depends on the brand. They might change the color of what their softest one is. This looks much better. Granted, there's still some pits in there because we actually didn't machine this. We just cleaned it off. But I just want to check it one more time and make sure that we don't have any light. No, that looks great. So these are really good because you can save some money at the machine shop if you buy one. And just needs to be a straight edge. This is a 24-inch straight aluminum piece. And now we know I can slap a gasket on it and be happy. So I did a decent cleaning. I'm going to let it sit here and dry, and then I'm going to blow it out just to make sure anything that might be in any of these little crevices are out, you know, because we don't want anything in there because it can affect our ability to cool. And I'll go over it with a flashlight there, but it's nice and clean. And I just wanted to show you guys. So this was the head gasket. This was cylinder 1. This was cylinder 3. And you can see this is just blown right out. And down here is not great. I mean, granted, you know, me taking it off chingered it a little bit, but I didn't do any of that. And you can see how rusty everything was in there. But yeah, I can't reiterate enough. Do not put head gasket fix in a car you care about. And if you put it in a car you don't care about, screw you, because you're going to mess over the next person, because they're going to try to love the car that they're getting, and it's really difficult because you ruined it. As you can see, it's spotless down here. I'm just kidding. I'm going to scrape the hell out of this. So this is an iron block, which means that the scraper and everything like that can be a little bit harsher on it because the steel is harder to mess up than the aluminum, but I'm still going to take some care with it. I'm going to clean up all this stuff. This one, we already picked out some, but I'm going to make sure that that has as much gunk taken out of it as possible. And then I'll probably use the air to blow out any, because even this one had some starting to build up in it of that head gasket fix gunk crap that blocked all of these passages, which we need passages to cool the head. still see stuff in there. I don't know if you can see it, but right in there, you can just see gunk in there. I'm gonna grab a pick and we're gonna go after that. All right, this is after cleaning. Yeah, I think it's actually that copper head gasket fix because you can see some of the copper flakes in there. So this was one of the ones that was literally solid. So, I mean, you know, before I started doing this, and this is just from what this pick can reach. And there's still more. Oh my God, there's still more coming out. So we're going to be doing the valve seals, because why not? To get this out, this is what I've come up with. The springs aren't super strong, and I can push down on them, and then I can use something with a magnet or some sort of magnetic thing to get the keepers out. I already did one. And we're going to put the new seal in. That's the old one. There's definitely a difference there. Now, we didn't have any smoking issues, oil smoking issues with them. However, you know, this is the easiest way to do it. We're already here. Why not? And I am trying to sell this to someone who I would like to tell other people that we are great and they should all buy from me. So I would like to do a good job. All right. So now is the fun part of trying to put all this shit back together. Aha! All right. We're going to try this, and the head bolts torque to 600 to 650 kilograms per centimeter. And the cam bolts torque to 90 to 120 kilograms per centimeter. You can convert that. I had to. Now, there was a bunch of places when I was looking for torque specs that were like, oh, it's 3 steps, it's this, this, and this, and then it says 8 valve or 16 valve. And I'm like, not an option with this one. So that one's talking about 4-cylinder engines, which you don't want to do torque specs for 4-cylinder engines. I found one forum that was like, oh yeah, just around this. I'm like, all right, I want to go off of that. So I actually found the service manual for these. And there's a difference between the 6-valve and the 12-valve, or the 2-valve per cylinder and the 4-valve per cylinder engine. And it literally just gives you the torque spec, 600 to 650 kilograms per centimeter. And that's it. So this has 1 step. Granted, I'm probably going to do 2, which is just making sure that they're all still at the same torque when I'm done with it. I got the cam in, valve cover on. I couldn't find a torque spec for the valve cover, so I just did 7 foot-pounds. So now I'm just going to put this water tube in, which I did put a new O-ring on. The kit didn't come with one, but I have an O-ring kit. I'm going to put the distributor on. I'm going to leave this loose so that I can still kind of get in there, but I wanted to have it resting in there and make sure also that that O-ring was correct. After that, I got the cam seal in. I'm going to take the water pump off. I did end up ordering the timing belt and water pump kit. Only thing that sucks is it won't be here for a few days. So I'm going to get this almost most of the way there. And then I'm going to kind of explain to you the timing belt kit, but I want to take off the water pump because I'm sure there's more I got to clean out. See, what you need is 3 hands for this project. And if you don't have 3 hands, I feel sorry for you, son. All right, I'm going to grab the intake manifold and make sure, I think nothing was on the front of it, but I'm going to clean up anything that was here so that that surface is good. And then we're going to put the intake manifold on. So we have everything now. We're going to do the timing belt. I do have everything else together. Exhaust is on, everything up top. All the hoses are where they should be. And I did say that I was going to tell you how I was able to torque the camshaft pulley. I'm not proud of it, but there is a special tool that I doubt I'd be able to get, or I'd have to wait, you know, months for because of delivery people. I used a different special tool because the special tool literally just has 2 sticks. And it goes into the cam gear and prevents the cam gear from turning. So I was like, all right, I'll get a buddy. So I got the biggest dude here, height-wise and all that stuff, to squeeze it for me. And then I torqued it because it only torques to, crap, it's been so long I forgot. What is it? It's something like 550 kilograms per centimeter. I can't remember what it was. I think I mentioned it earlier, but as you can tell by my hair how long it's been, so. It's been a while. But yeah, so that works. So that can be used to also take it off, but don't do it by yourself. You're going to fuck up the pulley and then you eat the belt and all that stuff. Now we're going to take the water pump off, and I was looking at it and it's slightly behind the metal piece that's behind the cam gear. So I wish I would have seen that before, but I'm just going to loosen these 10s so that it jiggles, and then we can take the water pump out and see how bad the head gasket fix stuff was. I'm really curious. I want to see what this thing looks in there. And Steve actually said, while we were doing this, he said it looks like that the water pump might have been leaking at one time. So I'm wondering if the water pump started leaking, caused it to overheat, they ignored it, and then it started overheating so bad, and then instead of just fixing, you know, the actual problem, they just, you know, mechanic in a can and call it a day. But ooh. Yeah, that had some stuff in it. Yeah, sir. There we go. Not, well, there's a bunch of crap in there, but I was kind of half expecting it to be what's it called, just like clumps of crap like the cylinder head. So I'm gonna clean this up so that we have a good mating surface for our gasket. I swear I'm doing it. Out of body experience? The surface of it wasn't great. I'm not happy with it, so I did something else that I'm not super happy with. I put some RTV on it because I'm not just gonna trust this gasket fully. And now we're gonna double check our timing marks, which I do have the book printed out, but we got little dot, bump, and I probably ain't gonna be able to show you, but the cam gear, it actually has a line carved into it on the cam gear, and then there's a line or an arrow carved into the metal cover up top. So now we're going to put on, and then this goes around the water pump. And this, make sure it's on all the teeth. Push up the tensioner. Yeah. There we go. And so when tensioning it, you can, lever on this and pull down, but the best way to do it is actually to turn the pulley so that the one that's not tensioned pulls on the crank pulley, and you'll see the tensioner actually move. You don't want these too tight. If you put it on too tight, it'll start making a noise. It puts more tension on the bearings. Things fail sooner. But essentially that little turn and it pulling on it with the spring, that's how tight it needs to be, because those teeth are pretty tall. It's not really going to fall out, so on and so forth. I mean, putting a little bit on there, like just kind of like or like pushing it with your hands, not going to hurt. But don't, like I knew someone that used to put a flathead in, push on it, tighten it, and every time you would hear that whirring noise, whatever the bearing, like the belt's too tight noise, and never sounded right. So we're going to clean up everything in here, and then we're going to throw the timing cover back on, which timing cover is, pretty simple. Is this the water pump bolt? Oh my God, it is. Well, we didn't need a nut. I'm going to take that off, but what? All right, so you're supposed to tighten it like that, and then that's just a stud. So someone over tightened the outside, which made that come off. Got to hold the crank, Ready? Done. On there. All right. This cover should be put on before the belt, but got it in there with the belt. I think it's the water pump bump. Let's do that. Let's do that. Jenga. All right, we got fluids in it. We've done some cranks for oil pressure. I did try to start it by itself before Steve got back with the camera, but I think we're going to spray some starting fluid in where the air filter goes. That way we can see, because I'm guessing that the fuel into the bear or the bowl of the carb and all the other stuff, because of what I did, it's not full. So I think we got to get it happy. I just want to make sure that fuel is the problem and it actually runs before we continue messing with that, because I can't hear a pump, but it is filling and it's carb raised, so it doesn't, there's no like me, priming or anything like that. Hey! There, we got fuel now.
Sounds good.
It does sound good. I'll give it an exhaust link up to see what that is. Could be one of the gaskets over here or whatever, but... So, yeah, that's a head gasket on one of these. It wouldn't be terrible if people didn't use mechanic in a can and try head gasket fix. They would have been much quicker, I'm sure. Or at least a lot less effort in cleaning. But... yeah, these things aren't too bad. We're going to keep messing with them, we'll see what the exhaust leak is, and then get it back to the customer.